Mic check. What is going on? Seriously, what is going on? The SEC in the USA versus Hong Kong head to head. It appears that the USA has decided it does not want to appreciate some cryptos because they're calling some of them securities. So the exact same ones SEC is suing Binance for having markets for the Sand, ADA, Matic, Sol, and AXS. The Hong Kong government approves trading for Sand, ADA, Matic, Sol, and AXS. Like, really? The message being sent just appears to be the SEC is hellbent on falling behind. Now, I thought that can't be right, but it is. So we've got Hong Kong regulatory leads set it up to be a major crypto hub. And it says introduce legislation to promote and adopt cryptocurrencies. I'm pretty sure they're talking at the retail level, basically allowing for platforms to exist and not be, well, sued by their relative enforcement agency. At the same time, you've got the US SEC sues world largest crypto exchange Binance and founder. It goes on to say, basically that suing Binance for having markets for certain cryptocurrencies. I'm pretty sure there's a tweet, I haven't got it here, but it's actually listed. They named by name certain cryptos as securities. I honestly have no idea what is going on. It says not like China, Hong Kong reportedly wants to legalize crypto trading. I think as early as, well, it's already passed, 1st of June, 2023. Now, here we can go back and see the actual US Securities and Exchange Commission. SEC files setting charges against Binance entities and founder Changpeng Zhao. Charges include operating unregistered exchanges, broker dealers, and clearing agencies, misrepresenting trading controls and oversight on the Binance US platform, and the unregistered offer and sale of securities. So it might just be, my interpretation of this is that because there was a centralized entity offering XYZ, which they filed as unregistered securities and the sale of on the US platform, versus, say, a decentralized nature where I would compare going online and, say, selling a used car. That would be the DeFi market in essence. Whereas Hong Kong's actually coming out and allowing for exchanges to exist. Now, the one thing I don't like about Hong Kong is its area of control in which it exists, because I believe it said somewhere that what happens if they flip on everyone and they've herded everyone into that particular market. Then what happens? Then what happens? Now, so that's US, Hong Kong, and now here, in response to a question about lingering concerns that officials could yet sell on the crypto pivot. So you could feel more at ease in Hong Kong, and all of a sudden, one foul swoop, they flip on you and you are in the same position as you would be in the US. Again, this is not legal advice, but it just appears to be a very strange and hostile environment for whatever reason in the US. Certain cryptocurrencies, they're being deemed as securities in their filings, and also centralized exchanges offering them are being deemed as, doing so illegally. I'm not sure, as I said, how that stands in regards to DeFi, like true decentralized DeFi, where it is literally yourself and the code and yourself and just trading with your peers, exchanging, like I sell to you, you sell to me. Like bottle caps, like a used car, So yes, there's laws and regulations to like register your vehicle and insure your vehicle and things like that once you own it, but I'm not so sure there's a law preventing me from selling my used car to someone else at a price that I feel is reasonable, that I would agree with the other party. I mean, yeah, you could call into everything contract law, but I mean, you're selling a used car, How often does that go wrong? Now, Then we have here the UK, so we're drifting over to the UK. Now, it's now or never to regulate crypto, warns MP. Yeah, alright, cool. So, you're in the midst of a huge battle between Asia and the West, basically going toe-to-toe over crypto, the best approach. With the totalitarian countries, like China outright banning it, but then having control of an economic zone which is approving it and letting it exist. And then you have the US, which is sort of turning totalitarian in some way, shape or form in regards to certain centralized exchanges. For whatever reason, they're helping and saving the people. They've even stopped certain exchanges from operating here in Australia. So you can't actually, I think, withdraw in certain fiat, but I'm pretty sure you could extract your tokens that you bought legally and lawfully and send them to a wallet that you control. So again, not your keys, not your coins, is very important in this space. Get it off centralized exchanges, you know, even if Hong Kong is the place to go, don't hold your stuff over on a centralized exchange in a friendly, quote unquote, friendly territory, because they could flip on you. Binance, I would never hold my stuff on Binance personally. If you do, in light of this stuff, maybe, just maybe, get your shit off as soon as possible. Now, back to the UK. So they're saying regulate now or never. So when things are rushed through, we all know how well the outcomes are. Think about certain, I don't know if it was mandates or certain rules behind certain treatments, and how just 2 years later, 2 years, remember, it was only it was only going to be X amount of days as per the guidance from the proper bodies. Again, YouTube, not medical advice here, just pointing some details out from memory, which everyone is well able to look up themselves and fact check, because this is not the point of the video. But what I'm saying is, when the politicians get involved and start telling you have to do XYZ as per the regulatory bodies that they enforce upon you, and then 12 months later down the track they do a complete flip and it's no longer required anymore, it just makes you wonder, maybe it wasn't rolled out properly at the time because it didn't have enough information. So these politicians that need to roll out, you know, now or never to regulate crypto, I can't help but think maybe, just maybe, they haven't got enough information and they're trying to roll it out quickly to shoot themselves in the foot, politically speaking, because you have one country going down one path, the other country going the polar opposite, and then you have here in Australia, we're not likely to see regulation until mid 2024. So while we're seeing this battle play out among the nations regarding cryptocurrency and how they're going to treat it, in terms of, from what I'm noticing, in terms of being able to, you know, advertise to people, to be able to market it in a certain way, like paid for shilling, to be able to actually list certain assets now, because they're going to deem them as securities that are being sold to the public. So what checks did they do to allow people to trade on certain platforms? Because you think about it, if you look at some derivatives trading platforms, you have to fill out XYZ, and before you can even get to the stage of trading, you have to have all the boxes ticked to be able to get there. So maybe it's sort of moving towards that environment in the US, whereby the regulations are that unfavorable, people are just not going to use their platforms. And that's centralized exchanges. Maybe they're moving toward middlemen being held accountable for the shit they pull, because a lot of it is bullshit, as we've seen with previous exchanges, and now they've swung too far in terms of regulation, and so they're basically trying to shut it all down, leaving real proper crypto DeFi alone. Maybe, just maybe, that's what we're going to be left with, which I wouldn't object at all. But if they try and sort of impose regulations on real DeFi, that makes little sense. I can never support that. Just like I can never support a central bank digital currency, which is possibly, just possibly, what this is a move toward, you know, shut down the exchanges, shut because the exchanges are the fiat on and off ramps, or make it extremely difficult to trade. There is the possibility that there'll be friendly economic zones that will allow for such trading, but you've always got the on-off switch lingering in the background, which could take place. You've got politicians in UK sort of rushing it through, similar to the crackdown in the US. And here in Australia, we're basically going to be sitting back watching, and I would say following suit. So I can say, yeah, write to your politicians and all that, tell your friends and family, but if you don't do it, then things like this are just going to keep being rolled out against us, and we're going to keep stepping toward the central bank digital currency. It's just, that's the way it is going to go. From what I'm seeing, it's a shame, but the powers that be do not like giving up their power. That's why they're so against cash. That's why they're so against crypto. And maybe, just maybe, through their lack of understanding, they think crypto is the centralized exchange. Maybe, just maybe, they think crypto is just check my audio. Maybe, just maybe, they think crypto is, really just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Maybe they have a little or lesser understanding of how DeFi works, in the terms of it's literally yourself. It's your asset that you own and hold. If you give it to someone else, it's like if you give, I don't know, a soft drink that you had that was unopened to someone else, and then they go home with it, and then they drink it, and then you ask it back. What if you never see that person again? What happens then? You go up to a stranger, here's a drink. Maybe, just maybe, they'll leave DeFi alone. Maybe, just maybe, they'll say, well, we'll just treat it as an asset. We'll just treat it separate from everything else. We'll give it its own special category, because we actually don't know who owns what. And when we do know who owns what, then at that point we'll deal with it. But for there's all this ongoing attacks on crypto, it seems to be more attacks on centralized exchanges. I could be wrong, but and then what's happening is DeFi is getting sort of picked up with everything else. So they're sort of going through a sweep, trying to protect everyone for their own safety against this evil crypto. But then we saw the FTX debacle and what was actually taking place, and they're going, hang on. So these poor people were giving away their stuff to other people who were then they were doing the wrong thing. They were literally breaking the law, So since early inception, if you had your own asset, own Bitcoin, you just sat on it until now, what would happen? And then you sell it. Okay, gains, yeah, that's fine. But if you gave it to the centralized exchange, which was Mt. Gox, what happened? You lost it. Go figure. History, doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. It's never ending, people. I just don't know why people don't understand this. So all the politicians out there, you need to learn what it is you're actually regulating against. Now, it appears you're going after certain exchanges, Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with middlemen not needing to be involved in my stuff. Do I think they need to be, held accountable for imaginable horribles that haven't taken place? Or do I think that they were selling unregistered securities or offering them? I have no idea. I have no comment on that because I'm not from the US. I don't have access to their platforms. I do think, however, that there appears to be an assault on cryptocurrency as a whole. And even though I do not like centralized exchanges, I think they are a necessary evil to be able to on and off ramp, because isn't that where all the supposedly the KYC takes place? Even though, when you purchase something with a bank account, with a credit card, clearly that is linking you to the purchase. So maybe there's a better way of doing this. Maybe it's just purely, once you use your credit card, you can purchase this asset, just like you would if you had cash and gave it to someone else to purchase a used car. I don't know. I can dream. Now, the reason I talk about this and this sort of stuff is because life is not going to get easier, people. The rates have just been raised here in Australia once again, and the price of fuel is going to go up, the price of food is going up, the price of living is going up, the price of rent is going up. They're going to want you to be begging for them to give you a central bank digital currency. The only way you can possibly free yourself is through financial freedom. Now, whether that be upskilling, learning more, getting a better job, learning about cryptocurrency, I don't know what it is. But while you are still a slave to the fiat system, you're going to be partaking in their fiat system to an extent that it will control and run your goddamn life. You have no other time for anything else because you'll be working. When you're not working, you'll be dealing with other stresses of day-to-day life, brought about by the financial struggle that is life, which is not the way it is meant to be. You were born with free will. You were not born to consume. The current system that we are in heavily incentivizes, in a bad way, corporations to turn you, the consumer, into their product. And whilst it does that, you are the loser. Whilst it does that, we see endless wars. Whilst it does that, we see people like Assange still locked up to this day. Whilst it does that, we keep getting told that some countries are going to kill crypto and others aren't. While at any time, the one that does approve it could turn off the switch just like that. It's a very strange world we live in at the moment. And like it's been signaled, the US is likely to pause rates on the 14th of June. And possibly, who knows, maybe, yeah, I'll leave that for the stream. Yeah, so free speech signing out. I mean, what do you take of all this, people? What do you take of it? Are they really going after crypto? Or are they going after people like centralized exchanges who are not being good actors in this space or being bad middlemen? Because I just hope they're not going after we the people, because legally and lawfully, politically and peacefully, we should all push back if they begin to do that. Free speech, signing out.